Hello, my darlings. It is Zyos, Madam Tilly, and I'm here with my friend Punky the Alien.
Hello.
And welcome to the Waifu Tavern Podcast. Alright, today, on this lazy Sunday, we're just talking about possibly my favorite franchise of all time, Final Fantasy.
Yee.
Specifically, we are, because it's a big ass franchise with many ports, many sequels, many spin offs, you know, uh, many experimentations. And so we're gonna we'll go through them bit by bit, but this is gonna be a multi-part series for sure. So today, we're starting with the late '80s and going to the end of the '90s. Okay, and as soon as I got on, Punky's like, "Oh, I don't know that much about Final Fantasy." I'm like, "Oh no."
Oh no, it still knows me. Just because I don't know a lot of them doesn't mean I am incapable of having a understanding conversation, especially when I want to learn.
Oh yeah,
Well, some of the viewers
and
out there might not know the series, like myself. I might be wanting to learn about them and tell us about your favorite parts of some of them.
and well, it's gonna be joined by our friend Knockfell Ads, but he's fortunately got to deal with lack of sleep and some community drama or something like that. So best of luck with you, darling. I just got to deal with the lack of sleep today, so I'm ready to soldier on. Uh, yeah, I'm like I need to buy curtains at this point. Yeah, because I got like big ass door windows in my bedroom, so it shine my room up. And I went to bed at like 5:30 in the morning, maybe. So I got maybe 4 hours of sleep before the sunlight woke me up. So yeah, I even need to in stream earlier or just invest in some curtains. Uh,
Blackout curtains probably would not be a bad idea, but
can you
that
get
is
from Walmart?
digression. I think they have them at the Wally World.
Oh right, curtains of the House of Black. Okay, and so Final Fantasy, I say it's like my favorite series. It just it's it's fun. It just captures that magical fantasy, and it builds such a wonderful community. And yeah, Square, I just thank you for all the memories. Um, I got like hundreds, if not maybe 1,000 or $2 worth of freaking games and merch just laying around. Uh, on FF14 it's kind of become my main content, and so that's why I'm kind of hard focusing on it this year, and so I can get all that shit done. So I know my fan base likes variety, so it's like I'll get back to it. But for now, you're stuck with FF14 and Warhammer. Okay, just off topic, like what or like not topic, just off the head. What's Final Fantasy mean to you?
you know, once I got a chance to kind of reevaluate my memories and brains and all that, I realized I've played more than I thought I did. I just completely forgot about one, and that is Little Endeavors. And one is kind of one always well, Final Fantasy in general always felt like the just right amount of uh, video game RPG to some degree. I have a few qualms of sitting down and watching my friend play some other entries, but that's down the line when we get to those.
Yeah.
But all in all, it does hit the right niche of steampunk fantasy later on. Actually, no, pretty early in the series now that I think about it. It's a really good steampunk fantasy. I can't really complain about it. I think it's really something that everybody can enjoy.
Oh yeah, so we go back to 1987. I was a young 1 year old. How old were you in '87? Negative what, 15 or something?
I appreciate that. I appreciate being thrown even further under the bus.
It's
I'm
just
not that old.
a fix the bus. Let's see. Well, I could have sworn you were like, in your, like just fresh out of your teens or something.
In the 80s? No.
Okay.
The first Final Fantasy I was able to enjoy was the 7, so I was kind of older when I started actually being able to enjoy the series. So now, back in the
Oh,
80s,
okay.
I barely knew how to hold a controller properly and play Mario just right.
Honestly, I forget your age because I keep thinking you're like, like 19 or 20 or something.
I am at least 3 decades old, at least.
Oh, that's good. But well, I guess I think my first Final Fantasy was actually 7. Um, which I find it crazy. Like my first Final Fantasy was 7, which became my favorite Final Fantasy for the most part. It's like there's some that kind of I contend with it now, but I did. But it was also my first PS1 game, and PS1 became my favorite console, and it was my first JRPG, which then became my favorite genre. So, I remember my first time seeing it. I was at a friend's house, and yeah, I can't call him Jason, and I just basically, two things, Jason. One, he was extremely flamboyantly gay, and this is the time before I was out of the closet. Um, and two, he had a PS1, so my first time exposed to this console, I think. Um, and not only that, but he had a modded PS1, so he was playing with Japanese games before we even got him. So yeah, he already had Final Fantasy 8 before we got it.
Totally did not
Uh,
drop something. Everything's
yeah,
okay.
I heard that.
Sorry.
It's all good. On my end, they're gonna hear like a little wind tunnel because my fans.
We cannot hear your wind tunnel, so you know. You're
Oh,
good.
in the raw footage, you'll hear it. If I'll show you a clip. But yeah. And then you got the metal roof, so you might hear raindrops from time to time. Um, but yeah,
Delicious
so
ambience.
and it's like, well, so depending on how hard it is, either it's ASMR or it sounds like I'm under fire. It's just, but so yeah, basically you got to see the freaking Final Fantasy 8 like like 6 months before it was supposed to come out. And that was fun. So I got wowed by this console. I just had to have a PlayStation. Um, I think I did play FF1 though. Maybe yeah before that. At a friend Clint's house, but I didn't know how RPGs worked, so I didn't know understand the mechanics like saving, leveling up, or any of that. Cause I remember I think the first RPG I really put time into was like called Suikoden 1, and again I didn't
Suikoden.
yeah I didn't know anything about RPG mechanics, so I just keep going forward the story until I just got mulled over because I wasn't leveled up. Um, but yeah, the old NES. So this game, it's funny. It's called Final Fantasy because it was Obunuyatsu, I think it's his name. Creator. This was his final attempt at making a game. If this game didn't make him some money, he had to quit gaming. Um, and lo and behold, he fucking won the lottery. Um, and let's see here. So, yeah, and it's also very unique too that like you can actually kind of customize your party. Yeah, your warrior, your black mage, white mage, red mage, your monk, and your thief.
Mm-hmm. One of the cool features that when I started to sit down and get into the first game, I liked the dynamic changes that happens to the characters when you get the blessing of Bahamut,
Ye-
where your sprites get more detailed and they're bigger. Mind you, this is still limited. You only got like the red and like the red and white for most of the classes. I think monk becomes ninja. Only his palette slightly changes as well. But still a pretty cool feat and feature. And you felt really epic at that particular moment. You felt like you've changed so dramatically. You get access to more hits for your fighter, your your ninja gets a lot more. Your thief becomes ninja. Got that messed up. It's been forever
Yeah.
because it was one of the games that instead of jumping straight into it normally, believe it or not, I jumped into it through a randomizer. So I was just like, what's the worst that can? That's the worst way to learn. That's the worst way to learn the game. It's like, yes, let me just dive in this headlong. There could be no potential repercussions of doing this out of order or without things in the right place. Nah, it's totally, I mean, completely fine.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's it. I understand people play 5 randomized because they had a lot more jobs to customize with. But hmm. No, I can't see like if Fantasy 1 like rolling like a d6 instead, like 4 times and see what you get. like, okay, I'm curious. Let me roll ahead and roll some d6 here.
Well,
Okay.
the
Let's
randomizer
see.
changes location for magic. Major key items where, uh, how much spells were, how much they cost, how powerful they were. The randomizer actually
Oh,
does a really good job when it comes to shaking the
that
game
is
up.
strange. That is strange. Like changing power levels and fucking prices. I thought
Yeah.
it's just like locations and classes.
Oh
Uh,
no, you can have a whole pile of fun with the randomizer for Final Fantasy One.
let's see here. I'll get got a white mage. Okay. A warrior. Okay, a red mage. And another white mage. Okay, well I'll be very healed. Um, but and now I would say never play the NES version. I play it like the plague. Unless you're down for playing with those bugs and glitches.
Hey, the overflow glitch is really useful.
Uh, the overflow glitch.
Are you unaware of the overflow glitch for Final Fantasy
Yes.
One? Ah, all right. Let me kind of put it in the stage. See if I get this correct. Or is it a different? No, it wasn't an overflow. It was a. Oh shoot! I gotta think. I can't remember what it's called. The people have it. Yeah, the intelligence bug and the critical hit bug, the most powerful bug changing mechanic. That was it. Yeah. Um, the
Yep.
intelligence stat is busted, meaning being red mages are more powerful than their spellcasting counterparts of white and black mages. The critical hit bug has been. Oh my god, it's still. I'm sorry, I'm having to go back and double check the research because the overflow glitch was the one I was thinking of most for either 6 or 5. That's where I was getting my mix up. But what it would do is effectively you could become untouchable, physically untouchable, and your physical attacks could be ridiculously powerful, if I remember correctly. Um, and as for it was like a formula for equipping a gear. I think you could get the monk master to equip armor on their fist slots, and that even caused even more shenanigans. There's just a pile of fun glitches that you can use to just turn the game into like, oh, I'm just gonna like just knock this game right out of it.
Just hit him with a breastplate. Just
I mean, I don't think you'd recover if someone ran up to you and smacked you with a breastplate. Just if people listening in want to actually join in on the fun of this game, there is copies on Steam under the Pixel Remastered. If you want to show them that we care about these old games being still upright, that'd be a way to show it, especially when we want other series to be brought forward and taken care of.
um Now, I would suggest if you don't get to play the Pixel Remaster, play the PSP version. Yeah, so no bugs and glitches, great graphics, and it probably most beautiful spell casting animations. Um, but yeah, so I remember my first tip trying to get Final Fantasy 1, I'd kind of just like rage quit because I get it was a limited archaic time, and I just couldn't handle it at the time because it's like I would just get so lost. You know, there's no map or mini map. Everything kind of looked the same because it was all just either green, brown, or blue. And the camera zoomed in on the character, so it's really hard to see any of the sneak locations. So I just get so damn lost. And by the time I found the boss, I would just like fucking kill him right away because I had leveled up just from being lost.
That's usually my MMO. Sorry, not MMO. That's usually my problem with any JRPGs. I would go and do every potential side quest or explore every particular area I could, and then like, oh yeah, right, the plot, and I would just Kama slam, suplex every boss back to back to back to back. And I was like, but you let me have all these shinies, and you're gonna complain that I'm blowing everything up now. Oh well.
Sounds like a D&D problem. But like see, I love doing all that stuff too, but on purpose. You know. But yeah, and I was also saying you basically could do it FF15. Like, there's like 15 chapters, give or take, in that game. And by chapter 3, I was level 75.
Is that cap or... Oh, sorry. Not cap as in the story is cap. Sorry, level cap.
No, I think it's level 99, but still, I don't think you need to be... I think you probably beat the game at level 65 or something. So, I was way ahead. Because they don't stop giving you side quests, in chapter 3, I can just keep leveling, and so I get to this epic looking boss and kill her in 2 hits. So it's like, okay, so I gotta like basically just pace myself. Like I had to put like limits on myself, in order to kind of like get the best experience out of this game.
Oh, I understand that. I've done a goof in my own current playthrough in a different game that I had to raise the difficulty level just to start having enemies have a chance. And when I saw 100% chance to hit on my main character, I kind of panicked.
That's just more than rant about FF15. Later on, let's see here. But yeah, then Final Fantasy 2, which I believe started out in '88. Which I was 2 years old that time. This was referred to as that Final Fantasy. Yeah, this is the one that like nobody likes.
Is that the one with Boko?
No, that's 5.
It's 5, so let's see.
That's the one no one remembers.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah. Is that the one with the first? Wasn't that the first when they introduced the job system, or is that still too early?
We'll come and look up on that one. So
no, this one didn't have anything to major note that made it stand out amongst its peers or future peers.
2? Oh no, it had something to stand out, and it never happened again.
Oh.
So 2, first off, it did have a good story going for it. It was a lot darker compared to the first game. Because in the beginning cutscene, you got the village being, razed to the ground, or heroes on the run, and stuff. Right. You get people killed off. And so, and even your party gets wiped out in the beginning, and you lose someone. But it's like, the leveling up is so freaking bizarre. It's hard to wrap my head around. You don't see kill enemies and get XP and level up. But you basically level up each stat and spell by just repeatedly doing it. So yeah, if you want to get real good with a sword, you just gotta keep hitting enemies with a sword. But it doesn't apply if you want to pick up a battle axe. So then you gotta start leveling up a battle axe. or if you're bows. Or you don't level up your HP unless you start taking hits, and stuff.
Oh,
So
oh,
yeah, if you,
that's oh, it sounds so grindy. Like it's like really,
extremely,
really bad grindy. Not the fun kind. Oh, look, shiny here and there.
and
Oh,
so you can actually get to the point where you're not getting any new HP because your attack's really high and you're just knocking them out real quick, or your evasion's up, so you're just dodging their hits. So you have no chance to load up your Constitution. Because then what if you come across a spellcaster, who then
oh
blasts you?
no.
So yeah, and then so yeah, you got to keep doing it for each individual spell, like fire one, and
Could
you
could you hit
understand.
your own party members, or was that not a functionality that early?
I think it might have been. I didn't give enough mind because that's why I did in Final Fantasy Tactics.
Oh,
But
I love Fantasy Tactics. We'll get to that point. We'll get there.
yeah,
I could talk about
yeah,
that one. Yeah, I
yeah.
completely. I was thinking of the
That's
mainline series,
97.
and I didn't
Yeah.
think about. Hey, wait, we can talk about side ones.
Oh yeah, yeah. I got all the side ones. Yeah. So but yeah, so yeah, you keep casting the spell to get level up of that spell, and not to mention you got to do this with every character. So it's kind of like you got to figure out who's gonna do or be good with what, you know. And what's also sucky is that it's not a traditional JRPG where it's like you got like fire one, fire two, fire three. It goes up to fire 16.
No, because I know it used to be Fire Raga, and then like a fourth one, if I remember correctly, or I may have skipped one. 16? Ah,
Yep.
that grind would make me hurt.
Yeah.
And here's the sad part
And
is I'm gonna have to go through it because I planned on I mentally had prepared. I was like, you know what, I need to do the Pixel series. Oh God, what have I got myself into?
yeah, I might have to pay. But then here's where I also flew off the handle too. They fucked up the world map encounters as well because in the world map, you know how you go over here, there's some weak enemies. You go over here, there's some evil enemies or bad enemies or that high level.
Hmm.
Um, it's a little mixed up. And there's no really indication on the map. Like there's no like darker grass on this side, so you can literally step to the right and get to a fight against a level 2 enemy, or if you take another step to the left, you fight a level 25 enemy.
Is
You
there any
know.
particular location that you remember of that you ran into an issue like that? Like,
No. I didn't stick around long. It was basically it got to a point where I had to pretty much save state after every fight. And that's not fun. So yeah, so it would take even longer on original hardware. Yeah,
would
like basically
you
save after every fight because the next step could be like an enemy 30 levels higher than you.
did you ever get a chance to try the Pixel remake, see if they fixed it?
No, I haven't. I can look it up, but
I mean, I'd still be down for trying it. 'Cause that was that
oh
was the
yeah,
path I was gonna take. I
like
want to show Square Enix that these old games are still worth a darn. I want to play them. I want to say, hey, we're buying these little Pixel remakes because if you take the time and effort to show the love of them, make sure they actually work. And look at you for messing up Trigger. Um,
I'll check it out.
I'm still
Um,
mad about that. I'm sorry.
but yeah, I'll see some videos. Okay.
Like they did an amazing job with the Pixel series for the Final Fantasy,
Ye-
and they've done they brought back Live Alive, which I think was a really cool idea. I think it's it was an amazing SNES game, and I'm glad they brought it back. But I want to see like Bahamut Lagoon and stuff like that brought forward. If I remember that being, I think that was a Square Enix one. I might be wrong on that one.
uh,
Actually, it might be a
and
Squeenix one, which is the problem is the merger of the two companies.
I know you want to play what was it? Secret of Evermore for me.
Yes, Secret of Evermore, definitely. I think it'd be a fun little because you can be a two-player romp, and I think it would be kind of fun. Since one player can be the main character and the other player plays the dog, and I like playing supporting roles, especially for people who've not played the game before. Uh, Secret of Mana is also another good series that could be fun to co-op.
Yeah.
Especially the Suikoden 3, which is its third one in the series because of the weird Game Boy name scheme shenanigans.
Okay. Next up, we got we peel off to the handheld scene with Final Fantasy Legend.
Speaking of, go ahead.
Let's see here. Not too much to say about this one. That originally it's not a Final Fantasy. It's actually a Saga game.
Yes,
Uh,
a friend of mine told me about that. I was like, no way. So I ended up looking it up, and I was like, that's interesting.
yeah, and so it's almost like I don't know, like a Monster Ranger game where you basically got like a monster or two to team up with you instead. And it's very unlike any Final Fantasy you played. So like that's why I would like, kind of need like a guide in my lap, or these days it's the other monitor. Remember when you had to have guides in your lap? Oh wow. But but now I have a guide over just to figure my way through. So I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm really into it. But if everyone ever bought me, because they did do like its own remaster collection with the Game Boy games. So I don't know. I might be willing to give it a shot if I had that collection. Um, uh, and then in 1990 had Legend 2. Let's see. And then 91 we had Legend 3. You got any opinion on the Legend games?
So I didn't get to sit down and play the games personally, but friends of friends is always having good friends and growing up. Got me a chance to sit down and sit over. My friend, I'll call him M for now. M would sit down and play this game, and I would literally sit over their shoulder and watch them play it. And it was very interesting, very different from the Final Fantasy game I had played. At that point, I had already been playing. When I met him with it, I think I had already played Final Fantasy. No. It was the first. No, my first big RPG that I had played, just to scratch the surface of RPGs, because I was still young, and at the time all I had was we had like an SNES and a Genesis in the household, and one of the first few games I ever played was the Earthbound. It was not the Earthbound series. Well, now it's because at the time it was its only game for us to know about. Later we find out it's a series. Um, so when I would always keep looking at a show, I was like, that's a really fun looking game. It's like, yeah, you get these monsters and all this kind of cool stuff, and then he showed me like the other Final Fantasy legends or that were even weirder because it was like kind of a top down, like a Zelda like, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm. That we got is Final Fantasy Adventure. That's what it was.
That's the one.
Yeah, that one like I was like, oh, it looks a little too ancient for me. Like, so it's like, Zelda, but you also have to constantly go back to your menu to switch your weapons. But that's kind of a design we had to put up with back then. Um, Also, it was just like when I say ancient as well, it's just like I'm a '90s kid, so when I was born in '86, but like um, for me it's like because I think Final Fantasy 7 like in the PS1 is like my first JRPGs. Anything like any like RPGs like before the PS1 are kind of like really come off as archaic to me, so it's really harder for me to get into. Um, and a lot kind of like with Final Fantasy 1, it's just especially like NES games in general are just way too not programmed well. Because video games were just in their infancy for the most part. And so I understand, but yeah, they just weren't well done enough. You know, Super Nintendo was a big improvement and all that. But yeah, like, it's like, I just looked at the adventure, I'm like, no, thank you.
Sometimes the whole reason why my friend even had these nice little goodies was because his dad worked overseas, or was a man in the Navy. So that's how he got those nice little interesting foreign goodies in his hands to try out and play, and yeah, he was pretty good at beating them, so I can't complain. And I was entertained while watching.
Speaking of like foreign goodies in classic Final Fantasy, there is a retro store in town, and they actually had the Wonder Swan versions of Final Fantasy 1 and 2. And
Interesting.
which is like this little Japanese handheld. Um, it was $200. So I'm like, if it wasn't in Japanese, maybe. But yeah, but it was neat to hold that little piece of history. And then that's funny too. Is also, my nephew wanted like a little pick. It was like what was it called? Not the G.
Tamagotchi.
Tamagotchis. Yeah, there was a Pikachu one there on a keychain, and it was like $50, but I got it for him. And he's like, it's in Japanese only. I'm just gonna eBay it, and he fucking sold it on eBay.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, ow!
Anyway.
I felt my soul being sold. Ow.
But then 1990 was also the year of Final Fantasy 3 for the NES. Now this is the one we didn't even get until the 2000s. Cause
Oh yeah. Three. Yeah.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah,
Under 3, not US 3, Japan 3.
yeah, Japanese 3. So I know you're like Final Fantasy 6. What? No. The Der 3. And which you can definitely get like Japanese ROM translations nowadays. But yeah, back then it had the Onion Knights, and yeah, it's like we didn't see it until like the 3D remake in the mid 2000s, and then we finally didn't get our hands on until like the Pixel remasters. So like 30 years a little late, but hey. And this also was the introduction of the job system.
Hmm.
It was very interesting. Now, uh, Now there was a bit of caveat though. And in that version, I think Pixel Remasters got rid of it, but and the original version, you had to like save up these special points in order to even switch jobs around. And depending on who you were, if you on in the 3D version, some people thought this was worse. I thought it was better, but there's job sickness, where basically when you change jobs, it's like trying you kind of get an apprenticeship. You gotta get good at that job first.
Hmm.
So essentially, those first couple battles with a new job switch, you're like your stats are significantly lowered.
Ah, why? That's
So
why
yeah, it's either
punish
you
the
get
player for experimentation? That literally just pigeonholes them
yeah
into keep this class till it no longer does anything.
yeah, and cause I was playing it probably the PSP version, and I ended up putting the game down just because I was bored. Because the open world, there's like lack of story and dialogue, and it wasn't real written at all. Yeah, it was for
Hmm.
good game writing, I guess. But because it's not exactly not well written. It's like everyone had like one line or two. Yeah, like there was not enough plot going on for me. No, not enough dialogue.
Uh,
Um, and so I was just getting a little bored. Um, and I'll eventually get back on the saddle and play some more.
Especially after you clear 14
Yeah,
to your content.
yeah. Like I said, I got 7 months. I'm trying to like get all the MSQ and collect all the things, because I was like, okay, if 'cause I wanted to bring balance to the channel, but it's like I made a mistake of starting a free company, an FF14, and when they started panicking because I wasn't on, so like I guess I made this bet I gotta lie on it.
Yeah,
uh,
as long as people are coming in and watching some Final Fantasy, I think you're doing just
yeah,
fine.
yeah. 'Cause
But
there's some people where they're like, it's not my thing, but I love you. So yeah, there's too many pies. I only have two hands. Um, but now we're firmly into the 90s. 1991, we got Final Fantasy 4 or 2 for the Super Nintendo. So, this one was with the Dark Knight, and you had Cecil, and you had Rydia, and you had like the let's see here.
Was it put on the
Nope.
SNES? I thought it was an NES
Uh,
game.
no, Super Nintendo.
Hmm. About to go double check because my brain's like, what?
Google that shit now. Final Fantasy 4.
Oh. Tell me more
But yeah,
about it while I go double check my brain.
there's a Super Nintendo version. Which funny, I started off with the PSP version, and I guess it was what I heard is that like almost every version after the Super Nintendo version was significantly harder. But I ended up kind of just putting 4 down on PSP. And then I picked up again for the Super Nintendo version. I actually had more fun on the Super Nintendo version than the PSP version, which had so many nicer animations and graphics. Um, and then but then there was a re-release for the PS1. Which we'll get to, and then let's see here. There's a 3D version, which I heard is even harder, and Pixel Remaster. I don't know, which I'm not sure how hard that one is. It's also on Game Boy Advance. It's on a lot of platforms. It's one of the popular ones.
It is.
For sure. And but yeah, so it's like we lost the class customization for free, but we had a lot more plot. Um, so yeah, you played 4, right?
Yes, I actually played it on its PlayStation Dual Pack that it came with. I'm trying to remember the other game it came with at the time. Didn't get to dip into it a lot because between me and my friend playing other games at the time, the biggest plot thing I know it's extremely early was the cool Mist Dragon and you literally doing a war crime. It's like, this.
Hey, we brought donuts. Like, oh no, I messed up these donuts with a bomb. It's just. Then that was also the introduction of Kane, which was the Dragoon, which apparently has become a staple of the series because the Dragoon looks so cool.
I guess my Blockbuster never had the second one on SNES that are. It's wild.
Nice. And let's see here. Moving to 1992, which one second.
Did we miss one?
No. Well, I'm filling in the blanks as we go. So 92, I guess we can kind of skip this one because it was only in Japan. Final Fantasy V for the Super Nintendo. So yeah, technically, like a lot of Final Fantasies were on Super Nintendo. We just didn't have access to them. But there's like translation ROMs now.
Oh, I jumped the gun. I did look up the date of the game that I thought we were about to reach.
Yeah, but 1992, while Japan they got Final Fantasy V. What do we and the Europeans get? Mystic Quest.
Okay. I can already hear the animosity building. What was...
Handle yourself, crowd. Also, poor Europe. This was... Mystic Quest was their first Final Fantasy release.
Yeah. So... I ended up, surprisingly, once I started to get into emulation and being able to play it outside the norm, because again, my first Final Fantasy that I got a chance to enjoy was 3, and that was because the Blockbuster that I went to had it. It didn't have Mystic Quest or anything of that nature. We got 3, and they were like, all right, and then here's 7. Just out of nowhere, like, here's 7 for the PlayStation. What happened to the other numbers? So when it's surprisingly competent. I think it's a really, aside from the couple of bugs that can really destroy your game, and I cannot stress it enough. These bugs are so bad that if you accidentally do them, you just ain't coming back. It is hard save reset. One of them is a positive one. Like if you somehow had a save that was further ahead, and you loaded a save that was early in the game, you could have effectively the strength of your late game character. I don't remember how it's particularly pulled off, but walking around with some serious firepower made the game extremely easy. But in the same vein, you could do the reverse. Have your really weak character stat or modifier being applied to your really late game character, which basically cripples you and you couldn't beat the game. Uh, Thankfully, because my sibling was at the time didn't really enjoy RPGs, I got the luxury of just playing the game as uh, through when we started doing the emulation and trying to play games. Two hands on one keyboard. Four hands on one keyboard. The keyboard going, "Excuse me, what?" Um,
Oh yeah, look at the current projects.
It took a while to figure out what we needed to do. I'll take a peek. What we needed to do. Oh no! I just had it, and I clicked on you thinking it was. Yeah, it's Final Fantasy. What's this? Tell me more. What is you? Are you currently about to jump into that wonderful little game?
If I didn't have 14, then to do right now, then yeah. So it's up there on the list. Um, but I eventually want to do all the Final Fantasies and all the reports and stuff, all the versions.
Okay, so I'm not the only one who has that nice little thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, but like I said, I got this big old mammoth of a task called FF14 in my way. So I figured I was hard focused that.
Hard focus it.
Yeah.
Because it's your subscription, number one, above anything else, and two, if you're having fun and people are enjoying, as I said before, people are enjoying watching it. There's no harm in it, right?
Word. And Mystic Quest, I guess it was like kind of a step down. Party of Two. And it was kind of like the hand-holdy Final Fantasy. It was really hard to die in that game.
Oh.
And
you could die in the tutorial fight. I wish I was kidding. You can die in the tutorial fight. And it's funny. No, this game is all over the map. It is supposed to be Babby's first RPG. Unfortunately, it is still an RPG and still does dice rolls. You could be crit during the first tutorial fight, and which puts in he could just end you from that point on. If he goes crit, you don't have enough HP to survive the rest of the fight. Just like, excuse me, what? You can die at the first fight? That's hilarious.
And one thing that is I found a little strange is that like every side character that joins you is stronger than your main character. It's higher level. Even like the girl, the first girl you team up with, she gets sidelined and is bedridden. But then she comes back like way later in the game, and somehow she's higher level than you, even though she's been bedridden, and I've been bedridden this whole time. I'm like, what the fuck? You make me feel like I'm lesser. Yes.
Nah, she was secretly just drinking some protein, just getting those protein drinks in.
Yeah. Let's see here. 1993 comes along, and we didn't get any Final Fantasies. Sad. 1994 though, we got two things. First of all, we'll go say with Final Fantasy VI on R3 on the Super Nintendo. Before we talk about that, though, real quick, we had a animated movie called Final Fantasy: Legend of the Crystals.
Oh, is that what I think it was? The three-dimensional movie.
No,
it wasn't that one. Okay.
This was a regular animation. But it was just a strange, and it was a spin-off of Final Fantasy V. Very crazy story, and there were some weird parts. Like there was a part where this girl's butt cheeks were glowing, and then she shot an energy blast out of her ass. Yeah, I need to rewatch that movie.
Okay. I mean, you fam. I don't.
And like
Uh,
like one of the rival or villain characters like actually like this dominatrix who has her own like pirates crew and with the BDSM gear on. And another kind of like a rival character is like this fat cop guy, who's like trying to like catch the hero. And by the end of the movie, he's like fuck. He says fuck. He quits being a cop and just becomes one of her subs.
what?
Yeah. Uh, Final
Okay.
Fantasy. This is
I mean, it was 1990s anime. I guess that's like it sounds par for the course. Now that I think about it.
yeah. Oh yeah, we've evolved since then. Oh boy. But yeah, so Final Fantasy Six. Um, that was a good game. Let's see. First of all, I was because Six was I thought the game was I originally played it on PS1, but like the game was so long. I'm like, how the fuck they fit this on an SNES cartridge? Because I said I didn't experience RPGs until the PS1, and
Mhm.
I was playing cartridge games on NES, Sega Genesis, and a little bit of Super Nintendo. Um, but never had came across any RPGs really. And so I'm so used to games being like maybe 2+ hours long. Usually I'm playing like a beat 'em up or something, or a platformer.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's got like 10, 20 levels and you're done. Hardly any cutscenes. So like, in fact, there was like so much, like such a big world, so much dialogue, so many dungeons. The game had so much going for it. Like the story was like, you know, uh, the story was like a magnum opus. Compared. Like I felt longer than all the other Final Fantasies combined, almost. Um,
Well, it's because of in the later half of the game kind of really opened up and allowed you to explore, which could add infinitesimal paths and places to go. You could bump
yeah,
into an enemy that rolls you like a sack of potatoes, but then you come back, it's like, all right, I'm stronger now, let's go. And then he does it again because you didn't realize he had this cool end move whenever he perishes. And you're like, okay, third time's the charm.
yeah, like it got tough in some places. And that final dungeon, holy shit. Um,
I had more problems with some of the side bosses than I had with the final dungeon.
yeah.
And yes, that is where suplex a train comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And it is one of my favorite memes. It's the fact that you can do it. And I'm glad they
And
didn't.
like,
I'm glad they didn't fix it, did they? I don't think they did.
I don't think so. But like, also like the dungeons too. They're like almost maze like. There's just like so many twists and turns and rooms, and this leads to that door instead. And you slide down that pipe, you're in that section. And I had the guide in my lap, but every dungeon took over an hour. Uh, and then also you had a crazy amount of party members. Because we went
Hmm.
from a crazy amount of jobs in Fantasy 5, like 15 or more, and now we had like 14 characters or something like that. From various degrees of usefulness.
I don't know.
Uh,
I think only one of them is kind of harder to control than the rest.
yeah. Well, because you had like at least 3 characters where like basically kind of just did their own thing. But then there's some you had to kind of go out of your way to find all of their abilities for, which kind of wasn't really worth it.
Hmm.
And
I will.
there's some,
I will respectfully disagree. My wild child uh had the best moves, and I will. I don't know.
oh
I'm a
yeah, I did, especially
Gar, if I get
those
his name correctly.
Gal.
I'm double checking his name because if I mess up his name, people will go Gau. I thought it was Gar. I ended up
Yeah, your Gal or
naming it.
Go. Um, and then I think and there was I think Gal and Realm had game breaking bug glitches. Um,
Yeah, Realm could break your game. Yes, she could accidentally break your game. I think if she sketches an invisible enemy, uh, she can break your game. I think that's it. That's the only one I know of on top of my head.
I think it might have been fixed in the Game Boy version, but yeah, let's see here. It's good for the characters, but yeah, there's Terra, who it's like, she's kind of like the main character of the first half, whereas Celeste becomes like the main character of the second half. Um, and probably was like the only like main character female, at least as far as since represented, in the Final Fantasy series for a while. Um, and then, cause I remember when Final Fantasy Dissidia came out, at least the first one, it was like a sausage fest. Um, sticks are swinging everywhere. I mean, anyways, and so like, let's see here, there's Locke, who he kind of cool, but then in the second half he's kind of creepy, but unless you're really into the rogues, he's not really too useful. Saban was awesome. I like Cyan. Some people couldn't get over the long charge times, but I liked it. Edgar was like so unique that they freaking gave him his own class in Final Fantasy 14.
I heard. I'm like, it's not fair. I want to play it now. You can't do that to me.
Play the free trial.
I want my old account though. I put those hours in.
What happened to it?
You can't free trial with a already made account. It has to be a brand spanking new account, which makes no sense to me.
Well, why don't you resub then?
Mondays. Like if I got, I'd say like 5 more subscribers on my Twitch channel, I would go back to it hands down, because then I would be able to pay for it every month.
Fair enough.
I mean, being honest, it's like, hey, you want me to go back into it and start playing it?
You haven't bought a new game in years or something?
I'm very picky when it comes to games, and I try to make games last. I don't buy games very often, and I try to make them last for a long time. And due to real life situations, I've been nesting a lot of money to make sure if anything happens, I'm covered. Not to go into too much personal details.
Fair enough. Okay, and so, let's see here, but, Celeste, I never really understood how the runic ability worked, so it was done back
What?
then.
Back then.
Yeah, and Terra, like, we'll get to it, I'll save it for, the other Final Fantasy, but yeah, I honestly didn't understand how a lot of RPG mechanics worked back then, the first go-around. I played a lot of these games wrong, and so I might have a better opinion if I go into it now with a fresher understanding.
Would you like to know how Rune actually works, or have you figured out what it does now?
I'll wait till later when I actually play it.
Alright, fair deals.
And then you got, let's see here, you got Kefka, who is villain that definitely rivals Sephiroth.
I would agree.
Of Final Fantasy. He actually took over, destroyed the world, and
What the?
was he listening? Let's see. Yeah, and the gameplay was pretty solid too. How do you feel about Sits? Any memories?
Oh, 6 is one of my top favorites in the pile of old JRPGs. Alongside the Suikoden series, and alongside Chrono Trigger, and alongside a cornucopia of weird niche ones out there, 6 was definitely one of the top ones that really stuck with me, especially because of its extremely large cast and its unique Esper system, allowing you to learn abilities from the effectively powerful summons. And I loved that summons became a lot more prominent down the road in later series, and they became different mechanics and all sorts of wild things. But back to 6. 6 it was one of the few out there that I was able to complete. And I love the multi-party system. I love the multiple battles with the multiple parties, especially since they introduced it so early. You're just like, I want to do this again. When can I do this again later?
Um,
Your first introduction to that is with the Mogs. When Locke falls down very early in the game, you're given a pile of Mogs with different Moogles. Sorry, with Mog amongst them uh, that you utilize to block a bunch of pile of enemies, and that's repeated in a dungeon later in the storyline. Uh, and it also does the party split system as well down the road as well to not where you have to defend a spot, but they just actually have your parties move around. They do it again in a dungeon and another dungeon. So they really don't slouch about showing a mechanic. They don't do it enough for it to. I wish they did it more. Rephrasing, but it didn't do it so short enough that it wasn't fun to enjoy in the first place.
okay, so did you choose a save Mog or get the hairpin?
Mog, of course, he was adorable.
Okay. Did you choose to keep the Alexander Esper or get the sword?
I got a Alexander.
Okay, morally chosen right. Yeah, also I did like that system where you equip the Espers and you get spells, learn spells for that over time for them.
Yeah.
And and now, I'll tell you a cool story. You remember the opera scene?
Oh yeah. Um, I embarrassingly enough, during my high school years, we had a drama class, and I brought in that particular moment as one of my assignments, and yeah, I went ham. I went hilariously ham with it.
So,
Uh, suffice to say, most people would call that cringe nowadays, and I look back going, "Why did I do that? It was
uh,
fun, but oh my god."
I can top it. So,
Uh,
in Final Fantasy 14, me and Stu entered a they throw a glamour contest. You know what those are?
hmm
Yeah. So there was a couples glamours contest. So I told Stu, let's recreate the opera house scene. Uh, and so I dressed as Celeste. I got this fairy tale dress and had a blue ribbon in my hair and stuff. And and I made it look as close as possible. And Stu, we got him the Setzer cosplay outfits. Yeah, I think he probably dyed his hair white, and he had a little airship minion as well. And yeah, I went out there and I did the lines, and then he came out, and because the guy only has a couple lines, but then we danced together and stuff like that, and did the final bow. And the other couple's like, how the fuck are we gonna follow that? Yep, I won. Uh,
oh, good gracious!
and I would say in the Pixel remaster of Sits, they actually put dialogue, like voiceover. It's the only part of the game that has voiceover.
I think they did the same in at the PlayStation remake, didn't they?
No,
No.
no, that's the version I played at first. That was on PS1.
I know they had
Uh,
they tried to mimic a voice with the sound chip. I do remember that. It wasn't
uh,
great, but it wasn't bad.
yeah. But yeah, and anyways, so I think we kind of come up to 95. We're gonna take a quick bathroom break, and welcome back. It's like no time for you dial-ins watching or listening. But hey, we found Knockville Etz. He was in the tavern the whole time.
Let's just say I had tipped the waitress and told her, "Yeah, I'm probably going to be out for a while." And apparently the waitress told me to go on assignment, but I said, as long as it does not leave the tavern, I'm okay. So I was out for a while, and now I'm here to discuss, so let's get it on. It's nice to be
Right
here.
on. Yeet. Okay. let's see here. But yeah, we had Chrono Trigger paired up with Final Fantasy 4, which was a weird mixture on the PS1 collection. Because that's not a Final Fantasy. But hey, as we got cutscenes in Chrono Trigger for the first time.
Animated cutscenes at that by the
Yeah.
great and former Akira Toriyama, the man, the myth, the legend himself.
Rest in power.
Indeed. I love that.
I'll say, wish the guy had more than like 6 character designs, but other than that though, yeah, good style.
I agree.
Okay, but fuck yeah, a lot to say about Chrono Trigger. It's just,
Really? Oh, you want me to talk about Chrono Trigger?
yeah,
Yeah,
let's go ahead. Yeah, let's go ahead and get it off your chest real quick.
go for it.
The magic that is Chrono Trigger. I've played I played the SNES back with the Wii, with the hair. I still have my hair, so I can't really say that.
Mm.
Back when the controllers were still gray. No, actually, that actually is more viable now because all the new controllers are either stark white or stark black, and that's it. Um, Back in the day when the controllers were gray, that's when I played the first version of Chrono Triggers on the SNES. I didn't play the PlayStation 1 until considerably later when I took the SNES, and I took the SNES version of the game, and I took the PlayStation cutscenes and I smashed them together in a cool ROM thing. It was gloriously fun. Unfortunately, that was also the time when my computer got struck by lightning. I had to end that playthrough, so I have to go back and play that and finish that up. That was a blast and a half, which means, unfortunately, I also have to start that thing over. Oh well.
Yeah.
Oh, caution to
How
the
shocking.
audience: do not play the Steam release. Normally, I will push people to go enjoy the Steam release, and because I want you guys to support wonderful ports of the game, but I cannot give my seal of approval to this game. So the only thing I can really suggest is get a reprint, if you can, of the SNES one, especially if you have a copy of, a big old chunky hardware of SNES, which are not impossible to get. Grab one of those suckers and enjoy like an amazing classic. Like the sound design is amazing, the character development is amazing. The side quests are fun. It is definitely the battle system is so unique. It's an ATB with where your enemies are standing matters. Your friends where their combination attacks hit multiple enemies and do multiple attacks, and enemies have functionality. Like they hit. This was before a lot of enemies had reactionary. This was when the first era where enemies had reactionary attacks based on what you hit them with, or how they were positioned, or what stance they're in. And this blended into more of their Squaresoft's future endeavors. You would see enemies that have these functionalities be certain to trickle into their, especially for bosses, trickle into what they could do. It was a really good show off of it. So.
Wow. So yeah, you do have a lot to say.
Chrono Trigger is one of my favorites. I can't say much about the DS release because I never played the DS version of it. Most of it, and I understand they tried to get the two of them together. They tried to combine Chrono Cross's storyline with Chrono Trigger storyline through that. And that's its own kettle of fish for me, and I will respectfully not go down that rabbit hole for the sake of time.
Never heard the term kettle of fish. But like Chrono Trigger, I'll just say cause I put it off for the longest time. It's kind of like a really hyped game. And when I finally got around to play it, I'm like, okay, I can see what everyone was talking about. I'm surprised it took me this long to get around to it. I played the Super Nintendo version, and it was a very magical experience. Now, let's see here. The game we all been waiting for. Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon.
You can't do it. No.
It came out the same year.
It's not a mainline series. You can't do this to me.
That's okay. I got enough much to say because I haven't played it yet. And if you want to translate it wrong, I can get it to you. But
I actually played that game. Actually, it didn't need you didn't need a translation. There is a US release, if I remember correctly.
I
'Cause,
thought the second one was US only, but
maybe
or or
maybe
English
it
only,
was
but
the
like
second one.
but yeah, we'll get
Uh,
around to that one. But yeah, Mystery Dungeon. It was kind of cute. Hey, Final Fantasy's branch out with some mascot characters. That's pretty cool. And yeah, I look forward to playing it some. Mike, have you played Mystery Dungeon?
Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon, yes. And I actually, at first I thought, oh, this is gonna be so bad. But I was wrong. It's cute because I love chocobos.
Ye-
And the fact that whenever I hear whenever the chocobo sings, I said, "Oh no, my heart melts. My heart just melts hot."
It was for friendship, not for eating.
Exactly.
Eh. So, fuck, you got like what, 30, 45 minutes left?
hmm?
You got like what, 30, 45 minutes before you gotta leave us?
I usually try to take a hour break from headsets because usually I try to take a headset break before I have to do streaming. I usually take an hour of it.
Okay.
Usually what I tried to aim for 4.
Alright then, tell us about Final Fantasy VII. We're finally there.
Yeah. Okay. The first true RPG I was able to understand, get into, beat, and even get to and had a game chart to fiddle with the debug menu and find out amazing, hilarious things about. And not only replayed it on stream on the Steam release, but I definitely it's definitely one of the games that just there was such a group of you could talk to anybody in high school about that game because everybody like 9 times out of 10 played it. It was like one of the common ground is you could talk to somebody about some character from it.
Huh.
Yeah, because Final Fantasy VII was a juggernaut. And I think it's technically like the most selling game on the PlayStation. Yeah. And the only thing that really comes close is Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, like it puts Square on the map. You know, sold a shit ton of units. Even though the character design was a bit off with the whole polygon Popeye look, but yeah, yeah, the combat and the music and like the industrial city vibe and story and such a cool villain. Um, the material system was very easy to to figure out. Um, Tons of mini games. Yeah, chocobo racing, the motorcycle racing. The characters are all unique. Definitely an evolution from Final Fantasy VI as far as like character design goes. Let's see here. And like I said, it was the first Final Fantasy I ever played, and one of my favorites of all time. But yeah, like Nog, how do you feel about Final Fantasy VII?
It was the Final Fantasy that mostly changed my gaming experience from the other Final Fantasies prior to 7. When I analyzed it and I said, okay, I looked at the box art, cover art, everything, even the instruction booklet before I played it. I thought this was going to be a very interesting adventure, and it was from disc 1 to the finish of disc 3. Each and every moment in that adventure alone captured well, not only captured, but it exceeded my expectations in a game. Granted, yes, it was a little overrated, but it was for a reason. It changed a couple of things. But I will say this though, Seven's not my favorite, although it is enjoyable to play. It's not my favorite,
Mm-hmm.
but
You could say it's a little overrated, I guess.
yeah, and I'm not saying it because it's it's overrated or everything. It's personally just not my favorite, and I still enjoyed playing it regardless, and I'll keep true to that. I think what sets it, I think what sets it apart from me is the fact that their system, the materia system, makes it so that you can use whatever it is that you have at your disposal, to change materias and change equipment. I mean, there there's a lot of things you can do in that game, from the mini games to progression of the storyline, and you can pretty much go almost everywhere. It's it's I feel like it's somewhat linear, but it's not linear at the same time with open world and well, not open world, but it's an overworld that you can explore and see where it takes you, either to your next destination or something on the side. And the side quests don't disappoint. They do offer very, very good rewards, some of which are just
Oh
totally fantastic.
Two
Um,
additional characters, fantastic.
exactly.
yeah. Oh yeah. It is kind of crazy how they just did like factor Yuffie and Vincent into the main story. Uh, and then they would eventually get their own games.
Little fun factoid: Vincent shares the same character slot as Sephiroth when he joins you as a temporary team member during the flashback. Um,
Huh.
when you are fiddling with the debug menu, when you socket two Vincents in the party, it triggers a mechanic that sets Sephiroth as your party member. Uh, Mind you, and at which point you could drag Sephiroth around for a while, but anything past disc 2, if I remember correctly, um, yeah, anything past disc 2 automatically sets him as Vincent. But anything before disc 2, during of, will have him as Sephiroth. Sephiroth operates on his own. He does not level, and he acts as if he was from the flashback. He always fights the same way every time.
Yep. Yeah. So he's always kind of OP. You can't really control him. Yeah, I remember that.
Well,
Mhm.
he LP to a point, at which point he becomes a detriment to the party because he does not take elemental resistances into account with certain enemies, and therefore fully heals a pile of enemies at certain points.
Yeah.
And,
Oh yeah.
casting ice spells on mobs that are ice related kind of defeats the purpose of dealing damage to them.
Doesn't um. Yeah, and I remember there was also a way to get the file says young Cloud. I thought like little kid Cloud, but no, it's just the flashback Cloud. So you can run around with a level 1 Cloud in your party as well.
Hmm.
Oh man, I remember there were like so many like rumors on how you could actually unlock Sephiroth, and I don't think a lot of them were true. Like how like if you defeat Sephiroth with like the original weapons, like the original Gatling gun, the original Buster Sword, the low stats and stuff, which is they don't let you delete like sell those weapons. So I figured, maybe that's part of the purpose. But like if you defeat Sephiroth, then he'll join your party and you use him to defeat the weapons. Yeah.
Yeah. For the shits and giggles of things, I had when I went to beat the game during the big climactic moment. I it's, I had unset Omni Slash and I just set Braver as the reply. It does not do the really cool overhead slash as the Omni Slash sets you up for. But it's just as it instantaneously because it builds your gauge. Uh, if those who beat the game or have played through, no, it slowly fills up your limit gauge, and your limit gauge, the value you need to fill, increases with what tier you've set it to. Braver feels really fast, so fast, in fact, that you can before he even swings into you, you could you could just pop it right in there, like sorry, not before you even get like the menu fully up and loaded. It's just like, I'm ready. Let's do this. Also, if you sit there and let him smack you, you just smack back. That's it. Congratulations.
Yep, I've done that before.
I am disappointed that I was like, man, it's gonna be a cool little kid. It's gonna the original Braver attack. It's gonna be awesome. Look, no, use Omni Slash. Watch that cool cutscene. It's my little micro cutscene, but it's so what. Go pick Omni Slash. You worked hard for it, and
You
yes,
earned
you earned it. Go use Omni Slash.
I knew how, like, in the original, with the way it ended, it was kind of like an open ending. Like, did we survive, sort of
What?
thing?
Huh?
What?
Wah?
What about the goofy, like, nightmare movies? Because, like, the movies kind of gave an idea that, like, Cloud and Sephiroth are, like, some sort of united entity. It's kind of weird.
No, it's not about the ending of the game.
Place blows up. You see him dead. You Omni Slash him to smithereens.
No, I thought, did we survive? Not he survived. I said,
No, we absolutely, yeah, no, the
when
planes.
Meteor came down, there's a big, the live stream, there's a big flash, and the, yeah, like, did everybody die or something? Like the planet we see, planet lives on after the credits, but
Yeah,
it's like, it left it vague back in the day.
Yeah.
You see the silhouette of 13 and what looks like two other pups with him. So most likely, the green retook the Earth a little bit. It doesn't seem like a bad end. It just seems like humanity continued on, but they seem to that became a lot less dependent on Mako and became more people who enjoyed what life really truly was. At least that's what the vibe I got from it.
I got that as well.
I remember the original rumors of the Final Fantasy VII sequels. Because before the whole compilation of 7 and the spin-offs and the remake talk, they were going to talking about, it was called Project Cloud 9. And it was going to be, kind of like more of an action-y of Cloud, cutting people up. And it was going to be part of like a Final Fantasy, they were doing playing a trilogy of Final Fantasy 7, 2, and 3. Not like Rebirth where we're kind of retelling the story, but it's like, actual sequel. And there was not much released about it, but like apparently like Tifa had passed away in between games, and we see Marlene kind of watching the at the ending. Apparently that big white flash kind of blinded her, but apparently Square was kind of bounced between Cloud 9 and a sequel to Chrono Cross called Chrono Break, and they decided to go with Chrono Break. And then eventually they canceled Chrono Break. So we got neither game. But I recognized assets from Cloud 9 in both Dirge of Cerberus and Crisis Core.
Right.
There was like I remember saw like maps. Basically maps and levels you see in Dirge of Cerberus, particularly in the city, like when it was like raining in the dark level. That was originally meant to be a Final Fantasy VII sequel. And they took the combat system, and basically that's what Crisis Core became. Not sure if it had the slot wheels, limit break stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah, we'll talk about that probably next episode. But let's see here now. Punky, should we just want to save your thoughts for Tactics in 8 on the next episode? Or do you want?
Or
you can either spill it out, or you can delay your stream, or you can get your opinion on that one later.
I would absolutely love a chance to spill more, go into great detail for Tactics in 8 and 9. My thoughts on 9 and my spectator sport that it became 10, because I would love to talk about my friend's endeavor to turn 10 into the funniest ending I've ever seen. Spoiler, he completed the entire grid spear for everyone.
Nice.
Sounds about right.
That's a lot of hours for those who don't know. I would love to sit down and talk about those in greater detail, and if you're willing to part 2 this, because that would give me it would be greatly appreciated.
what I want to do is just kind of do this in chunks. Like this, we're covering the 80s and 90s today, but then like the 2000s, that's time, the 2010s after that. Although the 2000s alone might be 2 parts because there's at least triple the amount of Final Fantasies in the 2000s.
Oh, yeah, their release schedule just got ridiculously quick.
Yeah, like a good half of them is ports, but still, there's a lot of Final Fantasies here. Um, but yeah, we can break down your thoughts next time because I'm gonna have Nox circle back around and tell us how he feels about 1 through 6. So
That sounds like a great idea.
all right, you have a good stream, darling.
Yes, and I hope to join the podcast once more for future endeavors, as always.
Heck yeah.
Laters.
See ya. Take care.
Okay, Mr. Valets. Let's see here. Final Fantasy Tactics. So, I remember when this game was kind of rare, cause no one had really played a tactical RPG before, and so everyone kept saying this game is hard, and so it didn't sell well at first, and it was like, maybe became a little bit expensive because U.S. fans were not buying it. It was not the regular Final Fantasy formula we're used to. They're probably coming off FF7. They're like, wow. But yeah, I played it and I fucking love Tactics. It's possibly one of my favorites of all time. Right there, 7. If anything, it's kind of like the Game of Thrones of Final Fantasy because there's a lot of dark shit happens in Tactics' story. And but yeah, the tactical combat was very unique, and all the job system was back in full force. Yeah, so how do you feel about Tactics?
That's a lot to take in, and I will agree. Tactics is one of those games that it's rare, very, very rare, and you see a couple of remastered ports here and there, or porting here and there, and it's quite a gem to see a game that's humbly fascinated by a lot of fans, a lot of fans of those who wants to, they would say that they admit they love Final Fantasy, but at the same time, it's just the gameplay, the characters themselves. But getting to the point of you saying it was hard, I'm not going to disagree that it is very hard. You have to work very hard. You have to grind like there's no tomorrow. Much more or less like the Skya grinding,
Yeah, you have to. Well, yeah, not only do you have to grind, but you gotta save at every battle. Um, and because you never know what random monsters you're gonna get this time around. Like, oh fuck, we're outnumbered, and they got stats effects I'm not used to dealing with. Uh, you know, but at least saving after every battle in Tactics was as annoying as it was in Final Fantasy 2, because the battles in Tactics are like 10-15 minutes a pop at least. Whereas like 2, it's much shorter. Um, but the secret characters were great too because you actually get Cloud in the game. Yeah. But and what was I gonna say? But and if those who've played 14, there is a whole patch, like a storyline of Tactics in it, and it gives Final Fantasy Tactics closure, in my opinion. Because Tactics does end on kind of like a slightly open-ended, very dark note. Like our heroes just get the fuck out of town. They don't really change the world. They slay the evil, at least temporarily, and then they just hop on chocobos and just race out of the country. Because politics are going crazy. One of the good guys, he tries to, write a book and tell the world of what happened of Ramses' adventures, and they burn his ass at the stake. Freaking Delita and his wife, the princess, freaking assassinate each other. And although they say he survived, it's back and forth, but still he cuts her up pretty good. It's a very dark game. And then if a 14 comes along and it spans upon the ending, and it's really gave me a feeling of closure. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, like and
It did end on a weird. To me, it ended on a weird note.
yeah.
But I couldn't help but to think that what if it did end differently? Would we have felt the same way? Would have we reacted the same way differently? Or would we prefer the original ending the way it was intended, the way it did? I don't think I don't I think we would have changed our reaction. I think it depends on the person. Uh but tactics though, um you I mean either you play the PlayStation edition or the Game Boy Advance edition, it it's still it's still the same charming tactics that I remember. The countless hours of campaigns and grinding to get the characters where you need to be,
Hmm.
and the I could say that the terrain of every single map is a little uh understandably janky and also uh understandably fair. The only thing I have to take away from the Final Fantasy Tactics is that I feel like that there's not enough love for a sequel, or at least
Yeah.
continue the story from where the dark story of the first left off.
Yeah.
I feel like it left us severely wanting for more.
Yeah. This is kind of skipping to like a future episode when we did the Tactics Advance, but holy whiplash! Because I think the first battles of each game really spell out the tone. Because in the original, you're like killing people on the steps of a church, and the in Advance, you're a bunch of freaking school kids having a snowball fight. Very tonal whiplash. Um, and so yeah, and so yeah, Advance was basically like felt like PG, fucking Final Fantasy Tactics. Like I'll go more into that when we get to that episode. But
Aw-
uh,
Awesome.
so like I said, the 14 kinda is like the sequel. Not the form we wanted, but at least we got something. It's kind of like when an anime gets canceled, but they give you a movie. And they're like, yeah, we don't get a season 2, but here's a movie. So shut up. Yeah. Um.
It sounds exactly what we would have thought. Here's your movie, take it.
Yeah. Let's see here, but yeah, so definitely Final Fantasy 7 and Tactics always kind of like rotate for like possibly that favorite spot. Um. Let's see here. Then let's going into the 1998. We had Chocobo Dungeon 2, which I'm not sure if it improved anything or whatnot, but it was the last dungeon for a while. Um, let's see here. And then we got the PS1 versions, the Final Fantasy Anthology of Final Fantasy 5 and 6. Let's see. Now, what? How do you feel about 5 and 6?
The anthology.
Yeah.
I feel like that the anthology was needed, especially to those who don't have access, like myself, to older retro games of the past. I think the anthology is a good point for those who actually have not played any Final Fantasy game before. I feel like it's a start to to something new. And also I'm gonna have to bring in the ones who have played the original 5 and 6. It stays true to the original in the anthology, and having on a PlayStation, really sets the bar of expectations high for uh, when it comes to Final Fantasy games in the future. Look at us. Look what we got: 7, 8, 9, then 10, and beyond.
Yeah.
5 and 6. I feel like those were. I feel like that 5 was my favorite, next to 6 and 4. And in the contrary, I have not played 1, 2, and 3 yet, but I feel like I might have to change that in a later time.
Let's see here now. But yeah, like that's the first time we actually get to play 5, and I gotta say the PS1 version is my favorite version of 5, purely for Pirate Argus. That's her name. I'll check, but FF 5 characters. I don't want to fuck this up, so. Ferris, okay. Where did I get Argus from? But because Ferris, she starts off as a pirate, and then she joins the team and kind of drops the act. Turns out to be like the other main female sister. And but if you play the PS1 version, she keeps the thick pirate accent for the entire game, and I love it. Yeah, like that's a woman I want to be with, you know. Yeah, like, very broken English.
Really?
Oh yeah. So yeah, Super Nintendo version or the Game Boy Pixel Master. Yeah, they either don't have it or she drops it pretty quickly. But if you want thick pirate fares, play that PS1 Anthology version. Um, and let's see. But yeah, this was another job system game, and it was very cool. And I remember a lot of people doing like randomizer runs where they don't get to pick the jobs, but they're stuck with them throughout the game, and they just make it work.
Ooh.
But yeah, cause I didn't get to get too far, so I got like 3 dungeons in. So I'm really looking forward to playing 5 at some point. And then Final Fantasy 6 on PS1, yeah, it had a couple CGI cutscenes, and it had that CD music. And people complain like, oh, there's some battle load times. Like, they were nothing. I grew up on the PS1 2 generation. Yeah, so load times, I'm used to that shit. Yeah,
Me too.
yeah. Oh yeah, like remember the original Xbox load times? Yeah, like yeah, you had enough to get a sandwich. You know,
Easily make a sandwich.
um, but yeah, see, how'd you feel about Final Fantasy 6?
6.
Yeah.
Um. While I like the job systems of 5, because I feel like that's what initiated Bravely Default, and if it did, if I recall correctly, it really paid tribute to it. 6, however, the only thing I got a sort of, I'm not gonna say pleasure, or I don't know, like some kind of what was I thinking? I don't know. It's a word. Anyway, uh, when you have a main character that's a badass, and when you have an antagonist that's literally a clown, that literally nobody in the world would suspect that they are the prime suspect. No one would think that, oh, it's just a clown rambling bullshit. The clown says, "Oh, I'm gonna be God. I'm gonna take over the world." And then, yeah. You go back to your jester hotbox, and lo and behold, the big twist that came about when I discovered, yep, it was the clown that actually turned out to be God, and what a clown he was! Just a big, giant, multi-phased God Titan clown. And I said, damn, I don't think I can get through this alive. The story itself is good. To me, it's really good. The music scores in the game have been nothing more but impressive. I feel like it never fails in the music department to come up with such epic themes for boss fights and, well, final boss fights as well. And
Oh yeah, like that dancing mat was like what 20 minutes long or something.
oh yeah, 20 minutes long easily, and I can still jam out to 20 minutes of it. Not a waste of my time, folks. I'll tell you that. Go ahead and give it a listen. I promise you, it's the best 20 minutes you ever listened to in your life.
And like let's see. So I think I ever recall like because you can get Final Fantasy songs in 14, and but like for that one was split into like 3 parts. But
I bet.
and I guess telling Punky like I was impressed at how much they were to fit onto like an SNES cartridge.
Yeah.
Because I started RPG in the PS1 era, so anything before the PS1, I kind of like any RPGs I see as archaic. And because NES games weren't really programmed very well. People were still learning how to make games,
Yep.
and so I was really impressed with how the Super Nintendo pulled things. Because I had to play at the Sega Genesis mostly, and there was like no RPGs on that. I'm so used to games in that era being like maybe 2 hours long, platformers and beat 'em ups and stuff. Um, so so Sits was crazy long, like the dungeons took like an hour a piece. Um, and I told Punky the story, but the opera house scene.
Yeah. I always look forward to the opera scene when I play mostly when I mostly play any Final Fantasy VI run, whether it be randomizer or just the regular. I always look forward to the opera event.
But yeah, like so for you know what a FF14 glam contest is, right?
Yeah. Wait, the glam contest isn't that the where they show off fashion in the characters or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
So me and Stu entered a couples glam contest, and I thought of why don't we um, uh, reenact the opera house scene.
Oh.
So yeah,
Oh.
we got the outfits. Like Stu was dressed up as Setzer. Even had a little mini airship, and I got the dress, looked just like her, and we even did some rehearsals. So I came out there, did the lines, and Stu because Setzer only has a couple lines, but he did his. And we synchronized our dance, and when we bowed, and when we got backstage, the other couples were like, "How the fuck are we gonna follow that?"
I wouldn't know. How would you follow up with that?
They can follow me to my trophy, and I won. It's just
Damn.
but yeah, and it's beautiful that they in the Pixel remaster of Sits, they actually do voiceover for the opera house scene. That's the only part of the dialogue in that game that has voiceover.
I'm glad that they did that.
Yeah.
Even though I wanted to voice the opera event,
Hmm.
but I'm glad that they did me a service by doing that instead. So I said,
Yeah.
"Oh, I can appreciate this more than my poor amateur voice acting.
It's just,
I'll take it."
okay. Let's see. Yeah. And let's see. Moving on to 1999. See, we had Chocobo Racing.
I cannot
Uh,
say this enough, but I love chocobos. They're very cute. They are friends, not food. And chocobo racing is definitely no exception to the rule.
yeah, like
It
a whole bunch of mascots racing around. Good times.
it's 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 like Sonic R, but with chocobos, or something like that. Oh well, that's what I felt like at the time when I was a kid. Because at the same time, I was playing Sonic R and Sonic Racing, and then I was playing Chocobo Racing, and I said, "This back then, this is my weird mind thinking that they're the same, but they're totally not." But Chocobo Racing, whole tons of fun. I kind of wish that they had. I wish they had more love into this. I mean, yeah, Mario Kart's great and all. Yeah, Diddy Kong Racing's awesome and all, but where are the Chocobos? Where did the Chocobo go? I want
Yeah.
I want to play more Chocobo Racing. I want more
Yeah.
game of chocobo racing.
And 14, we need more chocobo tracks. Yeah. And they've been getting
Really?
neglected. Yeah, yeah. There's only a set number of tracks, and they've kind of been the same for like years. Like we need more chocobo tracks. Yeah.
Okay, pardon my ignorance. I've been out of the loop in 14 for so long. When did they introduce this?
Oh, this is way back in Robin board patches. So it's been on for 10 years. Yeah, it's kind of like scuffed Mario Kart. Because you
Oh,
can like throw items at other people and these power ups as well.
oh, well. I would not miss using items and throwing stuff at people to give you advantage. If it's like original racing, just racing, I would not mind that at all. I feel like
Yeah.
it's just another day at the horse track.
And yeah, it does feel like a horse track, and there's a lot of raising along with it too, so you can basically buff the stats and whatnot, and you breed the chocobos to get even better chocobo. There's some mechanics to it. So a lot of it's still to do with luck. Um, let's see here, but then I say before we get to our last game that's on this list, let's circle back around to catch you up.
Hmm.
But yeah, so you say you didn't play too much of Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3?
No, but I can give you some insight and glimpses about it.
Go for it, darling.
So for the first Final Fantasy, let's go for the first. I didn't know what it was, and I did not know what Final Fantasy was back then. And I was born in very well in the early 80s. And video games were I did not know what video games were until much later.
Yeah.
And upon realization of what they were, I mean, I did not know what anime was until high school. And then I said, "Oh, wow. I cannot
Almost in
believe
there
what
with
was
you. Like
that."
I had Toonami on cable, but so it might have been middle school or late elementary, but still I didn't have internet until my 20s. So
Right, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
what American TV gave us is what I got.
yeah, yeah, American TV gave us. Anyway, let's get back on track. We're losing, we lost the trail here. Uh,
Okay.
but yeah, Final Fantasy One, the first one. I remembered I remembered if you rent it, you would get the instruction booklet with the map, and that's really something well, mostly not video game stores did later on, but like in the early parts, they leave you the instruction booklet for you to read, but um after a while you would get, okay, there's a map to this whole thing, you can read it, good. If you know where to go, good. You know where to start off with, okay, mark your starter point here and then go from there. But the thing with renting is that it's either already spoiled to you or it's well, there's too many markings all over the place and you think, oh my god, maybe we should ask for a new map. uh
So
but what actually got me into starting the idea of doing the first three Final Fantasy games is actually a game that's kind of related to the first Final Fantasy, albeit close to it,
yeah,
but with different job classes. I'm sure you're familiar with this.
maybe.
Final Fantasy Origins.
So yeah, which was the PS1 version of
Mhm.
one.
One, yes. And there's also another game, uh, which is I had it on me, and it came out a while ago, and I started playing it. It's When I played it, I said, "Oh, this is Final Fantasy. It should be fine." And then when I initially played it, I said, "Oh no," because I had no idea what type of game it was. Strangers in Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin.
Oh yeah,
The Souls-like Final Fantasy. That's
yeah.
what unfortunately got me into original play. Because if I recall correctly, more or less the storyline is, well, I'll meet you in the middle. It does share the same story as the first one, but they added a few things into it, I believe, that would solidify for those who actually thought the story of the original Final Fantasy was confusing. And
They
what
made
I
it worse. This is
ugh, don't get me started. I played through that on the hardest difficulty, and I stopped about halfway because, well, things happened. But anyway, the
Yeah, I remember you
origins.
liking that game.
Oh, exactly. But but I encourage those who love Final Fantasy actually play the origins, like like if I think there's a repixel, a remaster pixel of the
Yep.
six. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
can send it to you if you want.
oh yeah, I implore those to actually, well, try to get it because it does look really. I mean, it does look really good. I'm a fan of pixels. I love a good pixel art game any day of the week, and that goes without saying because a lot of people are thinking, oh, why do we need to do that? Well, kind of do. Well, you kind of do it. No. You need to, but no, do it. But
Do it.
yeah, exactly. Do it now. Do it now. Um, I actually harbor a fascination for not only just old games, but old games that are reported to current generations that keeps it original. But I'm getting off the trail here. The original Final Fantasy does follow the lines of the Warriors of Light that they're trying to set out on a quest to defeat chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a very cut and dry storyline in itself. And that's fine. I can deal with a cut and dry story any day of the week. I mean, as long as you get the quest done, you're perfectly fine. Ah, thank you for that. Uh, I f- the first Final Fantasy. You know, now I think about it, I have seen my cousin play it. I was doing my homework and I was watching him play the game at the same time. I, I didn't tell. I told him I'll be doing my homework. And he said, "Okay, if you decide to watch me play the game, I will not. I will look the other way and will not say anything." I said, "Okay." And it was very immersive, turn-based. I want to play it for myself, but knowing myself, I wouldn't, and I couldn't, and I shouldn't, and I didn't. I, yeah, I didn't play it at all. I wanted to. I really did want to, but something, something told me, yeah, I don't think you should play it, at least not right now. I said, crap. But yeah, so the first Final Fantasy, in my young self's eyes, a sight to behold. And I could say the same
Very
for,
much.
yeah, I could say the same for two. I could definitely say the same for two. There was another one I watched, never played, and I really wanted a piece of the pie. I really wanted to play it.
But yeah, definitely don't play the NES version. It's got way too many bugs.
Well,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, you definitely want to play like the PSP or the Pixel Remaster for sure.
that's that's what I thought. That's what I thought because if it's anything, if the NES had back then had a lot of bugs to deal with, then I'm pretty sure there would be those out there that could exploit it in speedruns. But
Well, I
I'm
mean,
not a
there were
speedrunner.
some bad bugs as well. Just
Yeah,
saying.
they're very bad bugs out there. Don't I encourage don't do it. Please don't
But
do it.
yeah, I kind of like shit on. I tend to shit on like NES because like it was not very. A lot of games were just not programmed well, but this was kind of like the first real generation of gaming. Where like we just learn how to make games. So I gotta take the games with a grain of salt. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, and then there was two which had a lot of problems. Yeah, like with the way I have to explain this again, but like the traditional way you level up in RPGs, you beat some monsters, get some XP.
Yeah.
They don't do that in two. Yeah, let's say it's considered that Final Fantasy. Essentially, in two, you level up things by just doing them. Like, so if you want to get really good with a sword, you gotta keep swinging a sword at people. And level it up. But then, if you pick up a battle axe, suddenly you do no damage because you gotta level up the battle axe now. Same goes with bows and stuff. So, And so each weapon of each character, so you kind of got to figure out who's going to do what. If you Let's say you want to train every character with everything, because same goes with spells. Um, and so if you want to have a really strong fire spell, keep casting fire. Same goes with cure. Um, Although a really grindy dumb issue is that you know how most Final Fantasy RPGs have like maybe like 3 levels to a spell, like fire, fire, or
Hmm.
fire 1, 2, 3. It goes up to 16.
Fire
Into
16.
Yeah.
Fire 16. Iron down the hole in 16.
But yeah, it's a lot of grinding. And then there's your stats. The way you level them up is different too. Like um, your accuracy is determined how many times you hit. But say you want to level up your health, your con, you gotta get hit. Okay, so the more hits you take, the more your constitution and your health HP levels up. But say you load up your sword really good by now, so you're one-shotting the enemies, and you never take any damage. Or your evasion's up, so you keep dodging it, so you never get your health increase. So if you go into a later dungeon and just cast magic on you, it automatically kill your ass because you have like 200 hit points, when you should have 4,000. Basically, it's a very experimental archaic design. It definitely needs a remake as far as mechanics go. So
I agree.
yeah, and not to mention too, the world map is a little janky as well, because you could step in one square and get into a fight with level 2 enemies. Then you step into another square and get into a fight with enemies level like 20 levels higher than you. And there's no really markers on the map, like the grass has a different shade of green or nothing. So it's like you gotta save after every battle, and that gets really annoying.
It does.
Yeah. So caution of going into 2. It's doable though. Okay. And
Yeah, it's
then
doable.
there's Final Fantasy 3, which we didn't get released in the States for 10, 20, 30 years.
That's true. We didn't even get it until much later. It it was supposed to be well, when we got 3, it looked totally similar to a future Final Fantasy game, but at the same time it's not. Because I think when the origin the, when we supposed to originally get Final Fantasy 3, it was supposed to be a different one, but we instead got a copy paste of 6, if I recalled, unless something. I don't remember the details, but I remember that yeah, we didn't get the 3 till later, but we did get a 3 allegedly, but it was not the same 3 as it was intended.
Yeah, that was Final Fantasy 6. The naming system was weird until we got to the PS1.
Yeah, and everything else made sense. Well, when they did the naming convention properly for it.
Yeah. Let's see. For me, it was the first time I had the job system. I think the game's kind of suffered from lack of story. But let's see. Yeah, and then there was the Final Fantasy Legends on the Game Boy. Obviously, played any of those.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those were essentially kind of like Monster Rancher type games because you recruited monsters to help you fight. And it's actually not even a Final Fantasy; it's actually a Saga series, but it just got rebranded as Final Fantasy. It's because they didn't think Saga would sell in the States. Um, and then there was Final Fantasy Adventure on the Game Boy, which was kind of like a top-down Zelda clone.
I like it when you mentioned the top-down Zelda clone. I was gonna say that, but thank you.
Yep. Oh, you played it?
Uh, I did, yes, but I cannot say that it was not fun. It was actually fun to me at the time when I played it. But would I play it again? If I'm bold enough, I can definitely do it. Um,
Yeah, I want to try to get that collection that has all 4 of those Game Boy games in one. Yeah.
That would
So,
be amazing if we got that. I would get that. I would say, shut up and take my money. I'll get it. Thank you.
I mean, it's out, but like, yeah, maybe I'd snatch on sale one day. Let's see.
Yeah, it's definitely worthy of weight of a sale, for sure.
But have you played Mystic Quest?
Um, I'll be honest, I never heard of Mystic Quest yet.
Okay, so FF Mystic Quest. While Japan got Final Fantasy V, that wonderful game on Super Nintendo, we got Mystic Quest, and poor Europe. This was their first Final Fantasy. They got released in Europe.
Really?
Yeah, it's basically kind of like a more handholdy Final Fantasy. Like you only have a party of 2 members and stuff like that. It was just a big step down. Um, but people content like it's like refer to it in a joking fashion. Uh,
Hmm. It
let's see.
does sound interesting, though.
It's definitely worth a play through it. I don't think it would take you very long to get through it. And we then there was Final Fantasy 4. What's your thoughts on 4? R2 for the
Oh,
Super Nintendo.
or two for the Super Nintendo. I was gonna say, yeah. Didn't we get it for Super Nintendo? But it's called two. Yeah, I have a bone to pick with four.
Really?
Well, maybe I phrased that wrong. I have a good bone to pick with this one. I happen to enjoy four as it is one of my favorites in terms of story. Yeah, the dialogue in the story may make no sense to some, but actually to me, I think I had a grasp and comprehension of what they were talking about. There was one time I believe that I forgot what the character's name. It was a ninja and was acting a little bit silly.
Edge.
Um, yeah, and I said, "Oh God, this is funny. This is so funny," but I don't. I think I might have mixed it up a little bit, or game wise, I don't remember. But anyway, continuing on, it was it introduced way to a new uh so I love four because of because of the story. I feel like the story was good to me. The combat is great to me. Uh the character development, I believe it's good. I think what sets it in the end is when I figured out that I thought I was going to hate the final boss fight. I was wrong. I actually loved the final boss fight. Even in the DS remake of it, it it looked good. At first I thought it looked good, and then looking back on it now I said, "They made this? I'll take it. I'll take it. It could have been worse, but I'll take it."
Now, is it me or did like every version, like after the Super Nintendo version, got like harder?
They did. They did. And I think that wasn't there another version of Final Fantasy IV that actually had not only a difficult. Well, I'm not sure if this is official, but I did watch a gameplay of it. It was a secret boss fight against Zero CX, and that one was huge, much bigger than the original Zero and tougher. And I said, "Wait, what? Huh? What? Did we get this in the original? Nope, we didn't. But no, we didn't get it in the original. I don't think we got it in the DS remake either, honestly. Which
Interesting.
is confusing. Yeah, and I thought to myself, are we gonna get this? No, we didn't get it in the DS remake. But in the later, but I think it wasn't in the advance. I think it might have been in the advance. I might be thinking of that, unless I'm totally off the mark in the chart. Uh, I'm gonna have to relook that, but yeah. As far as far goes, it's one of my favorites. I'm a little, I'm a little sad that they made the after years.
Oh
and
yeah.
and the reason I'm sad about it is because I haven't played it yet, and I've heard nothing but bad riffraff about it. And I said, "Jeez, I don't I want to play it, but at the same time, I don't know how I would feel about it if I did play it. I don't know
Huh.
how I would feel if I did play it. But if I
Yeah. Yeah.
were
It's kind of like when we get a sequel to something and it's not what we wanted or something. Yeah.
like 10-2 and 12 and what 13-2, 13-3,
I mean, I'll defend those games. To be honest.
that's fine.
But yeah, I actually adore those three games. Um, but like, yeah, I guess I can wait to those episodes. Um, let's see here, but I would say like because basically a lot of like movies or shows or whatever they'll end and they'll leave you wanting more, and then it's like, oh, this is not what I wanted.
Mhm.
I was thinking I was really asking for more for 13, but I felt the sequel's a little better. But back on topic, yeah, we'll cover the after years at some point. But yeah, let's see here. And I doubt you saw, but have you seen the Final Fantasy movie Legend of the Crystals?
How come that sounds something I would want to watch and I haven't heard of it?
Favorite movie or sometimes it's considered like a four-part OVA. So
A four-part OVA, huh?
some so it's just packaged as a movie half the time. But like 1994, at least when it was released in Japan. And it is it's a spin-off of Final Fantasy V, and the story is completely wackadoodle. Um, yeah, like there's a part where like a girl's like butt cheeks glow, and she fires an energy beam at her ass.
What?
Yeah,
I, I can't even tell if you're being serious or not. Are you serious?
I'm serious.
You know, now I want to watch it now. What's this called again?
Final Fantasy Legend of the Crystal.
Uh, I I need to go watch this. I feel like this is something I may get a laugh out of it, criticize it, and say if I like it or I just found it. I don't know. Final Fantasy Music Crystal. Okay. Hmm. I never heard of this. Not at all. I mean, I don't know what preempted. I don't know what started them making the Spirits Within. I thought, okay, well, the only thing I like in there was the advanced, beautiful graphics that they had at the time. It was way ahead of its time, and I appreciate it. I just couldn't get into the
Definitely
story
be
for some
talking
reason.
about that next episode.
Oh,
But
right,
like,
sorry.
and another funny thing too is like one of the villains, like our rival characters, is like a kind of like a sexy pirate chick, and she's got her own crew with like like dominatrix subby looking uniforms of all the dudes, and there's also another rival character who's a cop trying to arrest our hero. And by the end of the movie, he's like, he quits being a cop and just becomes one of her subs.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I've seen enough to know where this is going.
But yeah, I definitely need to rewatch it now. And also, I think Final Fantasy VII might just get its own, like, a whole episode and just break down the game, like area by area and stuff like that.
That would be impressive to see.
Hmm.
I would love to see that.
Okay, but like, let's on to our main event. Final Fantasy VIII. Let's see here.
I'm sad I didn't get to finish it, but I am happy that I still have the strategy guide to this day.
Nice.
So as weird as Final Fantasy VIII was with its junction system and how you get paid, it was really, really, really weird. The thing
Yeah.
was, I didn't even know what to do in 8 I didn't get any experience during the boss fights, and I barely beat them by the skin of my teeth by using the summons. And I'm sure that's the reason why I didn't get any stronger or any experience from the boss fights, because every time I beat a boss by using the summons, I didn't get any EXP. I did not use a Game Shark. I did not use any of those at all. I just played it straight up. I do not know why. Maybe it's because of the way I did it, but in the original, not the original, but outside of boss battles, regular combat, I get experience. But I never understood why I never got any experience from boss fights. Maybe it was intended the way it did, or maybe because I did not understand of how it worked, or how
Yeah.
it worked. But I don't know. To me, it was weird, and I was halfway to finishing. I was on disc 2. Well, on my way to ending disc 2, and then my disc got stolen,
Oh
and
fuck.
yeah, and nothing turned up again. I said, well, this is useless, so I might as well just ditch the entirety of Final Fantasy VIII. So I I threw it away out of frustration, because why would someone steal a progression disc that I was working on, and just why would you do that? That's not cool. Ain't cool. I However, it did not deter me from my experience trying to learn the game just so I could enjoy it more. Because I feel like that, despite its hard to understand system, the story is the story is good. Combat is good, and the system is weird. Now, normally I would sing praises about each and every, well, every Final Fantasy system if I remember them. This one I remembered as something I just could not understand. The junction, the drawing, I never understood any of that at all. I've been racking my brain trying to figure out what why am why is it hard for me to figure this out? Am I the only one that thinks like this? Am I don't know. I'm thinking it, it's uh I've been brain racked about this whole thing for a while, and I'm trying not to. It's I just keep asking myself, okay, how am I going to learn all of this? If How am I going to learn? How do you do? How do you do this? And nothing comes to mind at all. The only saving grace is the strategy guide. I would implore those who cannot understand the junction or the draw system, get a guide. I promise. It'll save your life, instead of just, replaying back the entire game over and over again with, unskippable cutscenes, yada yada yada, but something like that. Yeah, I remember that game did not have unskippable cutscenes by any means. Even if you tried. Yeah. But
That's
it was an experience. I'll give it that. It was an experience, although I didn't finish it. But I would say 8 would be good if I understood its system much more than it did. Is it a bad game?
so
No, it's not.
no.
Is it a good game? Yes, but it's in the middle. It's both good and bad. You get some bad things out of it, but it's also good out of it. So, my thoughts on
Say
8.
it's kind of mid.
Yeah, I'll play it again and see if I can change my mind of my younger self.
So we had very similar experiences. And first of all, in Final Fantasy 14, it's like the opposite. You only get XP from the boss fights.
Oh,
Um,
wait,
it's
what?
in dungeons anyway.
Wait, you didn't get experience from boss fights either?
No, I'm talking about Final Fantasy 14. But I can't remember because it's been a while since I played it.
Oh,
But so like, but yeah, I was a little too young and dumb to understand too. I think I was like I just turned 13 because even though I was playing earlier, my first exposure to Final Fantasy was going to a friend's house who had a chipped PlayStation, so he's able to play Japanese imports. And so he had Final Fantasy 8 like months before it came out to America. And but Christmas of '98, I got 7, and then and 3 months, just 3 months later, on my birthday, I got 8. So I was playing the shit out of 7 and 8 for like the next couple of years. Um, and Sega's, yeah, I was young and dumb too, so like I didn't really understand how a lot of like the mechanics work in a lot of old RPGs when they deviate. So I guess I tend to think RPGs think the same, which is why I kind of like I put down Disgaea and Xenoblade because
Hmm.
I was like, oh, they changed the combat too much from regular traditional combat. Yeah, I get you want to be different, but like I was like I couldn't handle it at the time. With 8, I just auto junctioned everything. Like so I never learned about that. 'Cause a friend of mine says, "Oh, I love 8. I don't even have to grind whatsoever. Just skip the whole grind." Me, I was being an idiot. I thought he had to grind, so I was grinding and grinding and grinding. Even when it turns out I didn't have to, because apparently the enemies scale up with you.
What?
Uh, yeah, yeah. So so I was like, what's the point of even leveling up? Like, there
Yeah.
is no point. Yeah, like
What's the point
so.
of grinding then?
Oh, I don't know. I was like, maybe get limit breaks or something. And like the only way I was able to actually beat the game was due to a Game Shark. And funny enough, it was the only game I was actually able to get a Game Shark to freaking work on. I bought multiple Game Sharks, could never get any games to work, any codes to work on. 8 was the only exception. And I just tried to make everyone's level 99, which helped. So I guess it's like minor stat boosts, but yeah, but it's a gun. So can you imagine doing a junctionless run? How challenging that would be.
Yeah.
Oof. But like, so yeah, like, it was funny too. Like, still, even though I was using a cheat to get her 199, there's still little bugs. Like Squall was like level 78, like odd number, but still really high up there. I'll take it. But Zell was knocked down to level 1 for some reason. He was only using this level 1, which is weird too, because he started that game at level 8. you know, um, uh, but but that's how I was able to get all the way through the ending the one time. Um, so yeah, very similar system. So at least the next time I play it, I'll have an idea of the junction system and can save myself a lot of headache. Um, so yeah, just gotta look at stat numbers. I didn't know anything about stats at the time. I was pretty dumb. So I was only like 13. Um, and but other than that, too, I thought the story was great. I was enamored by the cutscenes. That was like one of the first times we really saw a lot of CGI cutscenes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I can
Great
agree with
music
that.
too. I thought the story was good. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, the pay system was kind of weird. So I know that first playthrough was broke, bitch, because apparently you had to fucking like answer a quiz in order to get a better pay and just get paid over time. Because for the battles you just collect. I guess one reason you grind if you just collect items, which you can sell. But yeah, otherwise you had to fucking figure out a quiz, and to get the money. You know, I always thought Final Fantasy 8 should have had like a spin-off sequel, where you get to play as a seed. And from the academy, and you get to go on different missions throughout the world.
Oh hell yeah.
Um, so I thought as a concept they dropped pretty early. You're just like the Seed Mercenary Academy, and then you're kind of just stuck on one storyline, just dealing with sorceresses. Like I wanted to actually be a seed and go on different missions and stuff. You know, but oh well. Yeah. Still,
Yeah.
it was a good visual and audio spectacle.
True.
Um, and I also did the sub and span. Um, and there was that ability called Boost. So you just like hit the square button to get the summon spell to hit harder. And I had an auto fire controller, so yeah. The puzzles in that game were kind of hard though.
They were. They were really hard.
Oh yeah, it was the first game to introduce triple triad.
Oh man, I can never understand Triple Try. That probably was the big takeaway for me was I could never understand that game at all. I
Right?
couldn't.
It's like everyone seems to have the same opinion where triple triad can be kind of addicting, but it's when you like go to different regions and you have like different rules, then it gets complicated and lame. Um,
Mhm.
Although it's funny, because also you didn't know who played Triple Try. You had to press instead of because you press S to talk to people, but you press square, and then they'll say, "Do you want to play cards or not?" And
Yeah.
it was funny
I
too.
want
Like
to
there's
go.
just that like it gets through the cards. You got to play beat certain people, and there's like this one part where the city's under attack, but if you press square, he's like, "Oh, want to play cards? Sure." Yeah.
It's like every conversation they brings up. You want to play cards? I don't want to play cards. You want to go
It's like,
boating?
yeah, the sorcerer's summoning demons in the city. Oh, well, I can play a hand. Yeah, I got time. It's just, uh,
Oh man.
and it was one of the only Final Fantasy where we had a female main villain. Because, if you remember the first Dissidia game, it was a bit of a sausage fest.
I can neither confirm nor deny this, and I will not go on with this. I know where you're going with this, and I'll just say, uh-huh. I'll nod, smile, and yeah, I'll just agree. I'll say no more. So anyway, how about that seed?
Let's see here. Well, it makes people pregnant. No. Let's see.
I
But
didn't mean that seed.
yeah, anyways, I think that's a good way to end it. Next time we come back to the world of Final Fantasy, we're going to be discussing the year 2000 through 2005. Yeah, because once we get into the 2000s, there's like triple the amount of games.
Sounds all right.
Yeah, and there's going to be some more movies. There's going to be some books as well. Uh,
Oh, books.
sorry, I got.
Hey.
Oh yeah, like Final Fantasy VII actually has like 3 books. Yeah.
I may have one of those books. I feel like I may have one of those books, and it's The Tales of Two Pasts.
Okay, that's the most recent one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what
Check
the
it out
other
if you
two
haven't.
are, and now that you mentioned it, I'm going to get those.
They're pretty obscure, but I think you can find them through. Cause I got them through what's it? Books a Million.
Uh,
But
can you give me the link to those so I can have a look, please?
yeah.
Yay.
But like one of them is called Denzel on a way to a smile, where kind of focuses on the boy from Advent Children, the original character. And then there was the one a sequel to Seven called The Kids Are All Right, which focuses on a original character who's a Turk. Um, and
Wait. You said one of the kids was a Turk?
no, the book's called The Kids Are All Right.
Oh.
I'm not sure why it's called that, but yeah, and it's focused on a original character who happens to be a Turk, and I'll give you cause one thing that's because I haven't read all of it, but like one thing that stuck out to me was Don Cornorio. He survives the fall off Wutai Mountain. Um, and but he's like he's paralyzed. Basically, he's in a wheelchair,
Huh.
and because Turks had to do they had to do some working with Cornel for a mission or something, and then but he thinks he sees Don Corneo's being a little sus, like no shit, and starts investigating his house. And Don Cornelio has a bunch of blackmail photos of Cloud in the dress.
Are
And he's
you
playing the release public.
serious?
Yeah. And so I guess the Turk's friends with Cloud, cause he basically he's like, what the fuck is this? And he ends up beating the shit out of Don and then burning his house to the ground. It's like Don Corio's a grade A murderer scumbag. It's like, damn, you fell off a mountain, lost your legs, then got your shit kicked in, and your house burnt down. This guy, how have you not turned your life around, man? How much more do you need?
I agree. What more do you yeah.
Life's saying stop being an asshole, you know? Uh, yeah, I will definitely, just try send you the links.
I
Uh,
would appreciate it. I do need more I do need more well someone special told me to read more. And I said, well, I am writing a book. Does that count as reading? And they said, yes and no. You're reading your own material, but no, you're kind of stuck in the same place, are you? And I said, damn, thanks for calling me out.
Damn. I need to read more too, to be honest. Uh,
So I
try,
feel like
try to treat stream more like a hobby than a full-time job. Computer, stop
exactly.
that. Okay, but this is kind of like one of the longest podcasts I've done in a while, so.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah,
so,
I feel like today was a good day you caught me on because, well, yeah.
yeah, it's like I also got like 4 hours sleep too. It's like, oh man, I can barely focus on anything. It's gonna be a lazy Sunday.
But the fact that that you're persevering through it minus the amount of
Yeah.
sleep is impressive.
Yeah, I kind of just want to like knock this and another podcast out, and then I'm kind of like good for like the season, so I can rest it up until August. But yeah, y'all tune in for the next episode where me and a couple friends are gonna talk about LGBT games. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's it for this episode, darlings. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. Tell us about your Final Fantasy. What's your favorites? What's some of your memories? Yeah, what are some of your gripes? Uh, I love to hear it. Love you. Bye bye.
Bye bye for now.